hanikrah. In other words, we moved the whole line down from yesterday.
Progress.
Hanikrah, that's called. Halavai, we should make real progress, understanding the Ayin from Bechinas Rosh and Bechinas Seif. V'hu hanikrah Oyer Ein Sof. This is what's called Oyer Ein Sof. Again, as we discussed, we pointed out yesterday, Oyer Ein Sof does not mean that it extends indefinitely. It means that the Oyer does not have an aim, does not have a soif in terms of what's the message of this. Does not have a message. As I pointed out, that just as Atzmus does not have a message, there is not even a proper question as to what is it about, why is it there. The whole being of Atzmus is not even a being by definition. And the initial presentation of the Oyer of Atzmus was likewise without any definitive aim of what does it stand for. It stands for the Gilui of Atzmus. This is what's called Oyer Ein Sof. Oyer that is inherently Ein Sof. Like the Rambam expresses it more in Yigla terms, there was a first being, Motzur Rishon. What is the meaning of this Motzur Rishon? What triggers the Motzur Rishon to come into being? He is the Motzur Rishon. He is the starting point of everything. And he provides the element of absolute truth into the entire existence. And this is what Rambam says. Amit is himotzoi, the truth of his presence is the cause for the presence of everything else, of everything. Be'inyan hatzimtzu. And then comes the Inyan of Tzimtzum. Hu shenisale bechinas ha'Ein Sof. The Tzimtzum represents the principle that nisal, that bechinas ha'Ein Sof was retracted, was concealed. V'nimshach ha'oyer and therefore the oil was brought forth in a midah or mishkal, in a measured manner, such that it can relate to worlds, or that worlds can relate to it. That midah mishkal. As an example, What does it mean? Like we always say, there is a lake full of fresh water. The sea is also fresh water. But if you want to drink from it, you have to fetch it, you have to put it into a keli and feed it with some measurement, so that now it can be accepted on a functional level. You have to contain it, and therefore it comes in a measured manner. This is the meaning. It has to be in a manner that the world definition could relate to it. What is world by definition? World is that which develops through a process. There's a first, second, and third. Therefore, one of the steps does not exclude and overwhelm the other step, and it's a complete development. Thus, we see that just for the oil, also, that's when we started off. This whole discussion started off by saying that the oil in soif comes from the oil. Oil is Atzilus are rooted in the kav. And the kav came through the tzimtzum. And this is what we explained just now. That actually oiros, even the oiros Atzilus are also through the tzimtzum. Otherwise, it is an oil in soif. And it cannot relate to the world altogether. The oil has to come in P'chinas Midum Nishkol Fiyara Hoylams, or Mikom Okon. And yet still, Yiker HaTzimtzum Hu Bishvil His Havas HaKei. So even though the oil also has to go through the Tzimtzum in order to be oil within the world of Atzilus, but the main meaning of the Tzimtzum is in order to bring forth the Keli. As we already discussed, the difference between the Kelim and the oil is, even though we say the oil also comes to the Tzimtzum, despite that it comes to the Tzimtzum, it is representative, and it is completely connected and one with its source. Kelim, this is where it becomes an entity unto itself. The ultimate goal of the Tzimtzum is for the sake of the Kelim, in order to facilitate the Inyan Kelim. This we already discussed the last few days, that taking using the human being as the springboard for understanding this, there's a reality in the human being, and this reality has many oiros, has many principles that that emanates from it. But all of these principles are constantly pointing, this is part of the human being. This is not an entity unto itself. But when this Inyan gels and becomes so defined as to be identified with the Keli, to be identified with the physical structure, that's when it becomes a Metzius. The tzedek hatzimtzum, okay, I'm sorry. K'meshekosu be'etz Chaim, and as it says in Etz Chaim, Sha'ar Aleph Seif on Gimel, the tzedek hatzimtzum u'gdei lasset b'chinas hakeli, that the need of tzimtzum is in order to make the inyan of keli. And this is going to be discussed, we already learned yesterday. Ki alidei tzimtzum ha'oyer u'miyuto, because as a result of the contracting, the lessening of the oyer, yesh efsharus al hakeli lizhaves ulizgales, that provides a possibility of the kelim to be created, ulizgales, and to come forth. Otherwise, there cannot be the whole mitzvahs of kelim, in presence of kelim. The hine hakelim, because the kelim hein b'bchinas mitzius dov, the kelim are in the state of mitzius dov, of a presence of a thing. Dover means a thing, not oir, but a dover, like we explained the other day. Metzius dover means something which stands on its own. In the Metzius dover, in the keli, there is the first presence is the dover, is Metzius, and then you identify its functionality. The oil, the reason why it was built. Contrary to the way it is in the oil, where the ruchnius and the inyan, what it represents, that is primary. But a keli is a metzius dover. Like we said the other day, that if you touch the table, you don't touch a table, you touch the wood for which the table was made. That's metzius dover. Although the table has an oil, has a human quality to it, but this human quality was so defined, so contracted, that now it is represented in wooden pieces, in a wooden structure. Therefore, while there was a gili of Ein Sof, there was no possibility for the presence of kelim to come. Why? Because there's a gili of Ein Sof. What does that mean? Metzius kelim means, like we said again, there's a metzius of an entity. A metzius of an entity is present in the place where it is present. A table is present where the table is, where there has to be a place where it is not, in order for it to be identified as a metzius. Oir, Ein Sof, does not have a place where it is not. And this is not only because it fills a place. Conceptually, there is not such thing as not being there. This is why it does not provide for kelim.
That's to say, before the tzimtzum or also after it.
Say again?
This that it's everywhere cannot be said it's not present. That's before tzimtzum or also after, right?
No, that's before the tzimtzum. After the tzimtzum, we'll still talk. After the tzimtzum, that's when the oil was contracted in the extent that it enables the surfacing of a keli.
Right. And this tzimtzum lo k'pshuto is saying that etzem is still ever present, even though not revealed to us.
Right. Right. Tzimtzum lo k'pshuto. Lo k'pshuto means that it is not definable by space and time. I'll explain to you. We said that to have a home is a human thing. It's indistinguishable from being a human being. Now think of this. Halachically, like a sukkah, as you build a sukkah also it has to have basically 4 walls and a roof and a covering. Halachically, a wall can consist of 1 tefach extending, and that already points in that direction. And then there's a tefach facing it, and that's a wall. That's considered a demarcated area. That's halachically, that's a kosher sukkah. Now, imagine a person's home was built in that fashion. Take the doors off. I have doorposts. Don't you see that this is demarcated? What do you understand what I'm saying?
I don't think so. So that would obviously not be acceptable. It would obviously not be a house.
What would it not be acceptable about?
Why would it not be acceptable? I guess while halachically it may still be defined as a house, it would not serve that purpose properly.
It would serve a purpose, the initial, the principal purpose, but not the worldly purpose.
Okay, right. On the practical level, its purpose would be undermined.
That's right.
Windy.
Why? Because it represents the union of a home on a higher level. This is a human thing, a much higher union. It has truth to it. But to bring it down into a keli, it has to come down from its perch in the truth to a practical thing.
Uh-huh. Okay. And the reason we got into this distinction was because I was asking if
the tzimtzum ha'oir, then the oir inside, this is like we say in our mashal, the profound human truth. Then you mitzamtzim this, and you say that you have to have identity of oir, not oir inside. And why is identity of oir in this context? That not only should it be a place, someplace, a definitive place, but the place has to give a person a certain worldly sense of comfort, of coziness, of privacy. That's a completely different level of it. In order for it to be translated in a keli, the oil has to be reduced. Because if you come from the entire truth of the oil, this is just the place in the world. So I have a place in the world. If you just draw a line on the ground, scrape the ground, and it's my place. And in order to be a keli in the real sense, the oil has to be reduced to having some kind of a definitive message.
Right. Without that, you wouldn't have Metzius Davar.
What?
Without that, you could not have Metzius Davar.
Metzius Davar. You cannot dress into a keli the concept. It's a human truth.
You cannot unless you reduce the light of it.
And there's light to the point where, yeah, this is a place where he can sit in comfort and not be disturbed, and so forth.
And from another perspective, we say there is no reduction of the light at all.
No, there is a reduction of the light.
From our perspective, but not lo pshuto. This is from our relative stance. Yeah?
This in from lo pshuto. Means as follows. Actually, we discuss it all the time. That in the lowest level of oil, where you say, no, it has to that a house is not only a demarcated area in the world, but it is a place that is secluded from other things, so that the person has comfort and privacy and self-respect and so forth. Okay? So the question now is, does that now remove the human element from it? Tzimtzum kipshuti would mean this is I'm giving the human quality. Even the animal needs protection against the elements. Therefore, the human being is using this like he's stepping down to the level of an animal.
Is the human quality removed from it? So, I guess not. Clearly not. On the other hand, we just learned for there to be a Metzius Davar, there does need to be this reduction.
That's right. You have to reveal a different level, but not to remove it. There's still, that's what Tzitzik Kipsut, yes, and Tzitzik Kipsut. Kipsut means it's a completely different thing. That the reality has been completely removed from there.
So the truth of it persists, but is reduced sufficiently so that the keli can show itself.
That's right. Exactly right. This is a principle we discussed for the longest time, that at every level, even at the lowest level, there's still the human element that shines through human activity. This is what the Tzimtzum is about. The Tzimtzum is to facilitate the coming forth of the Kelim. Even though it has an effect on the oilers too, but on the oilers it has a minimal effect. But the Kelim, this is critical. As far as the oil is concerned, even the madrigas that will be after the tzimtzum. Arei b'bchinas ak. Ak is the first level, what's called, of the oil. That's after the tzimtzum. So there too, in the inner of ak, lo yesh adai mitzius hakelim. There is not the mitzius as yet on the presence of kelim. Why? Mipnei she'ha'oir meir shom begilui. Because the oil is very much expressed. So this is something which we'll have to discuss. Let me just go through the line. Even after the tzimtzum, even if the oil had already an aspect of definition, the presence of kelim was not possible. Because the oil is in full glory, in full relation, full expression. The higher bechinas Atzmus hakav, which is the etzem of the oil, shemei shom begilui mamash, where the oil there in Ak is revealed begilui mamash in full glory, full revelation. Therefore, the union of kelim is not possible. I just want to take a very brief analogy of this, and we'll discuss it tomorrow. But I just want to this is something which is extremely poignant and even current. When we came from France to this country, it was an amazing thing. It was almost like a culture shock. In France, like you go to a subway, everything is locked up. And every entrance, through every entrance there is a person sitting there and checking your ticket. Over here, we came here, the turnstiles, now the turnstiles are really full length. The turnstiles were just a little wooden cross, and to go under and to go above is absolutely no challenge. And nobody even thought of it. Everybody was putting this little token and going through it. I was wondering, there was a total, a culture shock. Nobody even thought about jumping the turnstile. Eventually, some people did invent the idea of jumping the turnstile, and they started building these monstrous, doorposts. But at the time, when people had a completely different mentality, respect for government, respect for rule, the turnstile was certainly sufficient. There was no need, there was no root. If you put a lock on it, you would understand where are you coming from? What is it about? It's not that far in the past. I saw it myself. I saw it happening.
And it's miles away from Russia. All right, have a great day.
Chiddush.
All right. Chiddush.